Trinidad and Tobago continues to develop. Questions are being raised about how well are we really protecting the physical reminders of our past. The National Trust of Trinidad and Tobago has recently issued an advisory following reports of incidents with monuments, incidents that could damage irreplaceable heritage assets and pose safety risks. And with more than 400 sites and properties recorded across the country, the conversation now turns to awareness, responsibility, and the role that each of us actually play in preserving our national heritage for future generations. So joining us this morning are Graham Sweet, Interim CEO of the National Trust of Trinidad and Tobago, and Dr. Ryan Mohammed, Council Member of the National Trust. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
And welcome back to you, Dr. Mohammed. So what prompted the National Trust to issue this recent advisory to the public?
Okay, so we received notice from our own coverage of or monitoring of social media of persons and actually interacting with things, these sites. And because it's heritage, these assets are pretty old and they've been exposed to the weathering and whatnot. They're not being maintained in a sense of their structural integrity. And so putting excessive loads on them runs a very serious risk that they could be damaged, and when they're damaged, they can't be replaced. And that it also puts a risk to the persons, so anyone interacting with it, that they themselves could be injured.
Yeah.
So the National Trust, our role is to protect heritage assets, the country's heritage assets, as a legacy for future generations. And therefore we want to avoid persons, anyone that can, any circumstance, I should say, that could damage these things irreparably, and so that other generations won't be able to enjoy the opportunity to learn about them.
Now, the Trust also mentioned that some of the heritage assets may not be easily recognized. How can the public actually become more aware of these sites?
Okay, so firstly, via the National Trust website, we have on the website a compilation of the various heritage sites as well as the listed sites for Trinidad and Tobago. So one, you could browse the National Trust website or Facebook page, but also become a member of the Trust. And we offer free interviews, free discussions, lectures, etc. To the public. So there's that avenue for awareness and information to the public as well.
Now, through my research and even on the website, I came across something called listed property, and this is listed under the National Trust Act. Can you tell us what a listed property is?
Yeah, so a listed property would be a property that has some degree of protection. We have two types of listed properties. We have the properties that are graded numerically and alphabetically. The numerical and alphabetical grading is not a hierarchy. It is categories indicating what activities or what types of modifications can be made to a certain property, a property that is listed. So for a property to become listed, it is a process where you have to be on our heritage asset inventory first, and then a dossier is prepared either by someone in public or by a heritage officer of the National Trust. And this dossier, it basically indicates the historical as well as aspects of heritage. And then this is approved by the council and the minister, and that's the process for it to become a listed property. And also it receives a grade, so that way the owners of the property understand how to do any sort of modifications or maintenance of the property.
So just a few seconds ago, we had on the screen a shot of what the website looks like as well. So you can see pictures there. So it's easily accessible. And I do admire that everything is well laid out on the site. So that means that information is easily accessible. So that people can actually go there and find out what's protected, what's not. And you will obviously know how to interact with these sites as well. Now, how does the Trust manage monitoring and preserving over 400 heritage assets recorded, right? So that's a tremendous task.
Yes. So as I said before, the 400 assets, all of these assets, they're not owned by the Trust. A large proportion of these assets, they are heritage assets, but they are owned by private entities. Some might be owned by the state, and they fall under the jurisdictions of various regional corporations or by private owners, then if you're on the heritage asset, it means that you have importance locally to a certain community or nationally. Usually, if it's important nationally, it graduates, it gets a upgraded level of significance to becoming a listed property. So the monitoring of the 400, that's probably, I want to say, the lowest level of the lowest tier of monitoring, because simply it isn't under our purview or protection. Mm-hmm. The listed properties, however, we have heritage officers, heritage preservation officers that do monthly checks. And now, as you said, that will be about 100 properties mm-hmm. that we have to monitor. And they go through almost 2 or 3 per month to do both Trinidad and Tobago to ensure that annually we at least touch on every.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot.
Yeah. Mr. Sweet, my final question to you this morning is, what would you say to the public about these situations and what should they do going forward?
Okay, so the Trust works with a number of stakeholders throughout communities, and to extend to Ryan's point, they are our surrogate eyes and ears. So there are many organizations, NGOs within Trinidad and Tobago who help us monitor. They actually monetize the sites within their communities. So they have a vested interest in keeping an eye on them, protecting them. And so they kind of share our passion for protection, and we work with them. So we do tours every weekend to different parts of the country in collaboration with these community groups and help bring more people into the communities to understand what aspects of heritage are being experienced there and how they can protect it and learn more from it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. Head across to the National Trust website for all the information that you need. And please interact responsibly and safely with our heritage sites so that we can have it for a long time to come for future generations to enjoy as well. Well, we take a break, and when we come back, we have more special stuff for you today on Trinidad and Tobago Today.